Hey everybody, and welcome to Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes, performances, and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. Remember, always be rich in your health, and remember, health is wealth. Even if you don't have the physical wealth just yet. I know everybody's out there hustling as they bail out the people that got 90% of the money already. Hey, always be blessed, but not like that type of thing where you doing illegal stuff. And always, remember, we gonna be number one. Hey, we got to show both of them. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into today's content. So as you see the title, we're talking about world athletics. And there's a couple of things here with transgender, DSD classification, all of that stuff. So we're going to read a little bit of this one. This is a little bit, I guess, heavier than the other ones. It's a little bit more reading. So here we go. It says World Athletics, and this was on March 23rd. So today, when we released this, or is that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. World Athletics Council decides on Russia, Belarus, and female eligibility. So basically, they said World Athletics Council met today on a number of important issues regarding the future participation of Russian and Belarus member federations in athletics and the eligibility, so on and so forth, for athletes who are transgender or who have differences in sexual development, DSD. All right, they said the council agreed to reinstate the Russian Federation. Now, remember, they were banned for 7 years because they had it was like government, doping violations. So now they're reinstated. But they said they are not allowed back in because of, they said, for the foreseeable future due to, quote, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Quick note here. NATO did an agreement with the dissolve of the Soviet Union. So therefore, for the people that don't know, they said, hey, we're going to let Germany unite again, and we're going to dissolve ourselves. We're going to split up, all of these things. As long as NATO does not push further and further east, hey, we're all good. Of course, United States, as being a huge liars that they are, they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Then in 2014, they did a violent coup, turned over that person, and then from there, they had fake peace talks so that they can stall and get the military together. And now that's where Russia was like, hey, look, they're going to be right on our doorstep, so we got to do a preemptive action. Without that context, then people just don't really know. It's like, oh, look, Russia invaded. Yeah, it's not the I'm white and I say so thing. Shut up. All right, now here we go. So, of course, they got to listen to the United States because it's the pimp hole relationship. The United States says something, then European nations are, following suit. So it says the Russian task force regulation, they got 35 special conditions that they're supposed to do, and it's supposed to last 3 years. So I'm going to skip that part so that we can get to the other part. Here we go. Then they got World Athletics talking about how bad and egregious it is, and obviously, the hypocrites that they are. Queen Elizabeth and all that stuff, massacred Kenyans and whatnot. And, she's so great. So, transgender and DSD regulations. So it says the council agreed to update the eligibility requirements, eligibility regulations for transgender and DSD athletes to compete in the female category. All right. For DSD athletes, the new regulations will require any relevant athletes to reduce their testosterone levels below the limit of 2.5 nanomoles per liter for a minimum of 24 months to compete internationally in the female category in any event, not just the events that were restricted 400 meters to 1 mile under the previous regulations. So now all the events are basically restricted. Now, if you all remember, it says, remember how they had them go? Because I even was like, wait a minute. If most of the women only have like 1 point something, and in rare cases they can get up to 5, why they got the levels at, 5 nanomoles per liter if they're going to do that? And I would still say, the most healthy thing, because that's unhealthy. I mean, all those injections and stuff, you could risk heart attacks and all those other things. Hey, you know what? being a professional athlete might not be the most healthy thing either. So, hey, but we all know that really is unhealthy. May as well just eat a whole bunch of Big Macs over and over. So, 2.5 nanomoles. If I'm not mistaken, that's below the previous limit. Anybody want to go check that? Because, oh, wait a minute. Here it is. It says below 5 nanomoles per liter. So it says the 6-month period is consistent with the previous regulations, which require 6 months of testosterone suppression below 5 nanomoles per liter. Now, I think that this is better if they're going to do it. The best thing is to have a separate category. But since they're not going to do that at this current moment, putting it more in what the female range is or regular females. And, as somebody pointed out on the post that I did, they always are trying to come at the black athletes. And sometimes occasionally other people. Every group of people may be different. Now, as far as I know, DSD is always has existed for a while. And so some people are saying, hey, these nations, they're not as developed. They don't check them at birth like you will find out in the U.S. and in different places in Europe. And I'm like, man, look, all over Africa, it's very diverse in many places that are developed, including where some of these athletes are supposedly coming from that are supposedly DSD. But if they are, okay, I'm just going to have to take their word for it right now. Because it seemed kind of weird that they would say some athletes are DSD, but other athletes are running real fast too at young ages, and they're not doing anything to them. So I'm just going to take them at their word for right now, that they're doing the best that they can, and that these athletes are actually DSD. So I might have to disagree with that one person, as they were saying, hey, they're targeting them. Now, it could be, it couldn't be. Who knows? But one thing I do know is, it says the principle of restricted events has been removed from the regulations. No restricted events. Interim provisions will be introduced for those relevant athletes who are already competing in what were the unrestricted events, distances below 400 and above the mile plus field events. These provisions include a requirement to suppress their testosterone levels below 2.5 nanomoles per liter for a minimum of 6 months before they are eligible to compete again. So, what do you all think about that one? Now, this is very, very interesting. I'm about to get into transgender thing real quick, but first, let's go into this. And so this is today's quick take. It's going to be a little bit longer than the normal one, but here we go. So, it says China group announces successful test of space-based solar power. So, for those that don't know, you will set up a satellite with solar panels on it. Then you will redirect that into basically a laser or a microwave and beam it down to Earth. What this does is this would lower the cost of electricity. Think about your electricity bill right now and then lower that by 10, like literally subtract a zero off of it. So if it's $100, lower it to 10, but even lower than that, lower it again by another half, and then then lower it again. You basically got like $1, maybe something like that. If it start off at 100, you're looking at maybe under $1 to maybe somewhere around $10, because some of these companies, they get their hands on it, they're on the quote capitalism, which doesn't exist, by the way. They're going to say capitalism, we're going to overcharge you. Now, China is not like that. So I just wanted to do today's quick take on that. But yeah, like they said in this article, NASA came up and proposed the idea. Japan was the first one to implement the thing, but you know how that was back then. NASA did it. Obama cut the funding for it. They're over here fighting gender wars and all of this stuff instead of, doing the thing. I love science. We as black people and we as a global community of everybody else, because we got all types of people that listen to this channel, we need to be talking about science and fighting entropy and trying to go and live into space and live longer. We should be living hundreds of thousands of years. Look at the Bible. We ain't living nowhere near as long as Methuselah. So, hey, that's what we should be doing instead of fighting. So let's get back to the content. All right, so getting back here, let's look at this. Now, this is going to go into the transgender. So, they said by the way, the DSD. The regulations will come into effect on March 31st, 2023, so in a few days. In regard to transgender athletes, the council has agreed to exclude male to female transgender athletes who have been through male puberty from female world rankings competition from the 31st of March 2023. Now, this is clear that they're acknowledging that men and women are not the same. Even if these same countries that now I don't think World Athletics is pushing this. I haven't seen it, but they kind of do have their own things because all the women are saying about the same thing. So it's telling me this is something that they're told to say. Now, that, hey, we can do this too. We can do all of this too. You know, they're pushing female kings and all of that stuff. Like, look, let everybody be as they are. Man over here, woman over here, anybody that's in between, hey, you're in between. But all of this gender confusion stuff, okay, great. So they're banning male to female transgender athletes that have gone through puberty, male puberty in particular. So not the female to male, because it doesn't give them an advantage, as they can already tell. Now, World Athletics conducted all of the, consultation. They said this. Now they're copying swimming, because remember swimming did this. They said it became apparent that there was little support within the sport for the option that was first presented to stakeholders, which required transgender athletes to maintain their testosterone levels below 2.5 nanomoles per liter for 24 months, not 6 months like DSD athletes, to be eligible to compete internationally in the female category. Now, I wonder who on that council at World Athletics was pushing that they should even allow this in the conversation. Like, no. It's like, no. We should not do that. This is like a slap in the face to the public. You're dealing with a worldwide audience. You're not dealing with, whatever you're doing in the UK, whatever's happening in the US. You're dealing with a worldwide audience of a whole bunch of people that would, and remember the stakeholders, aka people that are investors and with money, they're like, look, you do this, we pulling out. That's probably what happened at the end of the day. What do you guys think? Because they probably said, hey, look, you do that, we're pulling our money out. You could kiss the money goodbye. And then they probably said, yeah, you know what? I think we're going to probably have to adopt what swimming did. And I think that's the better approach. I guess if you said, hey, if you didn't go through puberty yet and you start taking the hormones, that literally changes up your body. It still doesn't change the skeletal structure. It's not going to make a male have wider hips, except for the few guys that do. There are some guys, I guess, that do have wider hips. But you're not going to have the body change like that. So even that, to me, hey, there is no transgender. If you're going to have transgender compete, you compete in your own category. Just make things simple. Female here, male there, DSD here, transgender, whoever, so-called transgender, you put them in their categories. That's all. But hey, this is how it is. So they said basically, if you don't go through puberty, then you can do that. They said they agreed to set up a working group for 12 months to further consider the issue of transgender inclusion. They said, however, there are currently no transgender athletes competing internationally in athletics, and consequently, no athletics specific evidence of the impact these athletes would have on the fairness of female competition in athletics. You need a freaking study to know that males are better than females in sports. I mean, we can see that. The 100 all the way up to the freaking, from the 60 all the way up to the marathon and beyond. Mountain climbing and mountain running and everything like that. We don't need a quote study. We have years and years of evidence. We even got the person in the U.S. that set it off in tennis that said, oh, you know what? Now after all the money's gone, probably all the competition won. Oh, I apologize. That's what they always do. Oh, I apologize years and decades later. Oh, you know what? That was an unfair advantage that I had back then. Set off a whole court case, went to the Supreme Court or something, and that's where we're at today. So now I'm going to read the last thing, and then you guys give me your thoughts. World Athletics President Sebastian Coe said, decisions are always difficult when they involve conflicting needs and rights between different groups. Or maybe I should read it like this. Decisions are always difficult when they involve conflicting needs and different, I don't think I got the accent today, rights between different groups, but we continue to take the view that we must maintain fairness for female athletes above all other considerations. We will be guided in this. We'll be guided in this by the science around physical performance and male advantage, which will inevitably develop over the coming years. As more evidence becomes available, we will review our position, but we believe the integrity of the female category in athletics is paramount. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't even do it that well today. I think I sounded more country than anything. So that's what Sebastian Coe said, President Coe. What do you guys think about that? Are you in support of this? Are you against this? Voice your thoughts below. Because some people were saying, hey, oh, by the way, Nian Saba said there is no question about, because some people were trying to go to Francine Nian Saba to ask whether they would actually come into the, ask for comment on this. There was no comment as of the writing of this or as the recording of this. And from what I have researched, Nian Saba said she like, nah, I'm not about to take these injections again. Because she did them at first, then just wasn't, acting right and said no. So I'm going to guess here, if, people are following through with their word, we might not see Nian Saba anymore. And I don't know about Caster Semenya, because Semenya didn't. That's the whole reason Semenya moved up in the events, because Caster Semenya, she said she didn't want to do that. So, hey, what do you guys think about that? I think I am in support of, majority of the direction of where this is going, where it's going with transgender, DSD. I'm not the most in depth about that, so I'll just have to take their word for it. So as far as that, hey, I even like that they're putting it. I even like that they're putting it more in the female range. I like that they lowered the regulations from that 5 to 2.5 now, because I was like, man, that's at the upper limit of the female range. But I already knew that this slap was coming. We knew that this slap was coming. And so we're going to see what happens to our two Namibian athletes, Semenya and Nian Saba and some other. I think they said there are 8 athletes currently right now. And I think there is one athlete I can't name because they didn't say anything publicly. So there's definitely one that I have on the lookout. And there might be somebody. There's one in one of the long distance events that I suspect. And then there's one in the sprints that they haven't made any headlines with it. But then I was like, yeah, I think this athlete might low-key be one of the DSD athletes. What do you guys think? Peace out. I'll catch you all on the next one.